Our guest on today's show is Mr. Humayun Kabir, the Chief Executive Officer of the ABQ Education Group. Mr. Kabir has wide-ranging international experience over the last 30 years in fields like finance, technology, business administration, marketing and operations in some of the leading financial institutions and strategic advisory firms across the world. His latest calling is education, which stems from his passion for enabling and skilling future generations for success. Welcome to the show, Mr. Humayun Kabir.
Thank you, Mayank. Thank you for the lovely introduction.
Given the availability of resources online,
Yes.
how relevant is a schooling system?
Right. I think it's a very pertinent question because until very recently, COVID was a big test of what is the meaning of online education and how that contributes versus what schools do. And I think everybody in one way appreciated the use of technology and online resources during COVID, but once it is over, people realize that education online can be a resource, but not anything more than that. You still need the face-to-face because when you are in a school, it is more than just the knowledge which is you're picking up. You're actually learning about dealing with people, dealing with situations, your character, your sports you participate in, the other skills you develop, everything from communication to creativity, collaboration. All of these opportunities which come in schools are something you really cannot replicate on online. So online resources will always be there. They help a lot. They facilitate in improving the educational process, but at the same time, they're no replacement for face-to-face, at least at this point in time, the way we as humans are wired to learn and to communicate and to educate.
Sure. One thing when we speak to business leaders or companies is there is a bit of a gap between the needs of the job market and the skills of students.
Yes.
And how do you bridge this gap between what the industry needs and what academia provides?
Okay, again, the pace of change, in business, in society, the innovation is something where education systems generally move much more slowly than the way society and technology is moving today. So which means there's always a catch-up which is being played by the education systems. So the gap is there, and the way to fill it is actually for the education institutions to innovate, to start changing the way. There's a lot of talk about teacher-led, traditional teaching, which is teacher-led, chalk and talk, moving to student-centered, where you put the student at the center of the learning. You do a lot more project-based learning. So the education institutions have to change the way in which they impart this education. That's one. Number two, the two sectors have to work very closely as well. Education institutions cannot just produce the leaders of tomorrow by working independently and away from the needs of society and business and industry. So they need to collaborate a lot more, understand what is it that they are looking for, and then change. So one thing would be, for example, knowledge. Knowledge used to be the schools will give you the knowledge, but knowledge is now available a lot more freely, somewhat online in some ways. But it's how you utilize the knowledge. And there are other skills which are taking a lot more precedence. So when you talk to employers today, they're looking for creativity, they're looking for collaborative students, they're looking for critical thinking, problem solving, they're looking at literacies, whether it's media literacy, information literacy, they're looking for leadership initiatives. So there are different skills which are being looked for, which needs to be now inculcated during your educational years. It's not just more about imparting knowledge or getting a body of knowledge. That information is more easily available than it used to be.
No, very well said. And so you have, at a very macro level, you explain what needs to be done to kind of bridge the chasm between what is being taught in schools and what is the requirements of the job market. Specifically, what is the ABQ Education Group doing in this regard?
So in ABQ, we have taken this very seriously about 4 years ago. What we did was actually in Oman with the Vision 2040, the educational strategy of Vision 2040, it talks about 21st century skills. These are skills, about 12 skills which have been globally accepted. So at ABQ, we have adopted these 21st century skills as part of our DYP program. We call it Discovering Youth program. So from grade 3 onwards, we've incorporated building of these skills in the curriculum now. So we have specific DYP lessons every day in the school for each grade. So that's one thing we've done. Second thing is when kids get to grade 8, for example, at that point, the one challenge we felt, and the young Omani kids we have seen before, that we need to give them direction as to what do they want to be. So we do a lot of tests. We do personality tests, cognitive ability tests. We do your preference tests. All of that to understand what is it that, and make a career choice of sorts. So we give about 15 career choices which are commonly, which are associated with the university, with the higher education authority, so that people can get admissions and scholarships. So we make those available, and the children then choose a career. It doesn't matter what they choose. It's what's important, they need to have a focus. Then once they choose a career, they sign a pledge with us that I will ensure over the next 12 months that I will find out everything about this career choice, what it means, why I want to do it, and reflect on it, and et cetera, et cetera. Then, of course, we get people from industry to come and, specialists in that for each sector, and come and talk to the kids so they really understand. Because when you are in grade 9, you're making a choice. Of course, we know that choice is not the ultimate choice, but at least children know how to focus on things. Each year after that, grade 10, grade 11, grade 12, we continue this process. It's an annual process. What do you want to be now? Maybe you want to be the same, and some kids say for the next 4 years, they have the same consistent answers. Some change. It doesn't matter. And then how we link that to education is once you make a choice, I want to be a pilot, okay, what are the prerequisites of being a pilot? What are the options available in the region to become a pilot, in other countries, east and west? And so we start with, okay, and what subjects you have to take, what grades you have to get, if you want to get a scholarship. So you start linking these career choices, giving them focus to the academic side of things. So then there is, again, a goal, a purpose, a passion. So just try to link all of that. And the last thing we do is we try to give them experiential learning, which is basically try and get them to go and do job shadowing.
You spoke about change and adapting to that change, and one big change which has really been all over the world is the rise of artificial intelligence and machine learning.
Yes.
How will this help education? Will it help it becoming more innovative, more productive?
Yeah, absolutely, tremendously. I mean, AI, just yesterday, the figures came out that 300 million jobs are expected to be impacted by AI by 2030, for example. So AI in education will play a significant role. We've already seen it, actually. As I'm speaking to you, in the last 3 days, I've been talking to our chief learning officer, and we've been playing with ChatGPT. And we told ChatGPT to do a grade 5 maths exam, a grade 5 science exam, with a focus on topic A, B, C, and D. 5 seconds later, you have a perfect grade 5 exam. So AI will help. It will again be a tool. The teacher's role will always be there, but now you can save that time and spend that time on personalizing in education for that matter. So now you can actually tailor education to each child's needs because the AI will help you do that. We feel that it will have a significant impact. It will make education better, and really at this point, one cannot imagine what limits it will have. I mean, it really is something which will be adopted very quickly in our industry.
Oman is a young country. It has a young demographic, and because of this, giving people employable skills and creating employment is a national objective. How can educational institutions contribute to this larger national goal?
Absolutely. I mean, we have a very, very critical role. I mean, at the school level, we are creating the foundations. I mean, if we don't do a good job, then no matter what, it's very difficult to recover, later on in life if your basic schooling and your secondary schooling is not good enough. So first, educational institutions like at our level have to do that. And of course, there are higher education institutions who play the next level. What both of us have to do is to really understand the changes which are going on. I mean, there's so much change going on. So you really need to think collaboratively together and reflect on where things are going. Because fixed curriculums and fixed ways of teaching and fixed knowledge, there's nothing fixed anymore. It just becomes, so you need to have abilities and skills developed that you can adapt and have the flexibility and to learn and how to learn and from where to learn and how to use tools and what are the tools. So it's almost becoming like, where do you find these solutions? Because jobs are now, a job is what? You're problem solving all the time. You're doing projects, you're solving problems. So employers need that. We as education institutions have to change in that way, that we become, this is where again I go back to the 21st century. You build those skills because then these kids can go into any environment, and as the environment changes, they have the basic skills of how to deal with it. So this is where I feel industry, higher education, schools, that dialogue, there should be some dialogue.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kabir, for speaking to us and giving us an overview on the education sector and where it is headed in the future. And we look forward to coming back and speaking to you again.
Always a pleasure, Mayank. Thank you very much.